Jeff Siegel here to take you through the week on HRTV, and it was a week for debate. Rachel versus Zenyatta.
This is what horse racing wants to see, is a clash of a pair of titans here.
Her march to greatness continues.
Rachel's the best 3-year-old. Zenyatta's the best anything.
Are you at all intrigued by the possibility of a matchup between these two great horses?
You know, later on in the year, certainly.
Here's the real Zen Master, and she's won 11!
Lights versus no lights.
We're going to run a poll to get the public's reaction, which I'm hoping is pretty positive.
Bill, just go ahead and vote us yes for the night racing.
And 3 versus 5.
Margin of victory? That's 5 lengths.
It's not 3. It's closer to 5 than 3.
Says who? Our producer, whose glasses are this thick, and his glasses, who are this thick.
Matt Chu was on set for an inside look at what happens when horse racing meets Hollywood.
What was that 40-plus days, 43 days like working here and being involved in that? And really, in the course of 43 days, how much actual filming that ended up in the movie was accomplished?
Well, it was a dream come true, Scott. Like I said, I begged Rusty Hendrickson for the position, and that's the reason he finally gave it to me, was because I wanted it so bad. I just couldn't imagine them shooting this movie here at Santa Anita in my own backyard and not being a part of it. So it was absolutely a dream come true. And as far as the amount of footage they used in the movie, I mean, we were here 43 days, and about 35 of them we were on track shooting.
How do you prep a horse for something like that? I mean, it's prep enough just to get them to be normal under conditions out here in a given racing afternoon. How do you get one ready for a Hummer driving alongside of it at 30 miles an hour trying to film them? How do you keep them away from that?
Well, the first thing is to try and select a horse that has the right demeanor for it. You know, not every horse is going to do that, obviously. And then once you do get the right group of horses, it's just familiarization. It's like anything else you do with a horse. You know, you show them something 3 times, they usually get it. So if we're using a new group of horses that aren't familiar with you know, the camera car, we'll go ahead and just have the horse actually circle the car and let the camera move around them. And in all the projects that we've done, we've never had a horse not be able to do the job.
Jockey Shane Sellers retired from racing in 2004 and now plans to make his riding return this Thursday.
You hung up your tack 4.5 years ago, and now you've decided to return to the races. Why?
The time I left, I really wasn't in the game mentally, and you know, I chose to fight for riders, you know, my whole career. And I chose to be one of the guys that stood up front, and I took a lot of flack. And you know, the last incident was at Churchill Downs with the insurance, and it just pretty much took all the starch out of me. You know, again, with the unfortunate happenings with Renee Douglas, you know, all the fights we fought for the insurance. I mean, unfortunately, he's paralyzed, but he's got the peace of mind where he's got $1 million policy. And so I look back on all those things, and I had to quit beating myself up.
You feel like you're back in the flow as far as race ready is concerned?
I've been working really hard. You know, I'm getting on 7, 8, 10 horses a morning. I'm riding. You know, I ride my bike a lot. I swim, and those are things that I never really did as a younger rider. I wish I would have, but I never did. So I feel strong, and I feel good enough to ride on Thursday. I got a great phone call last night from Gary Stevens, and it's those phone calls, there's a support from these kind of people that'll make it all the worthwhile for me to come back.
Night racing returns successfully to Churchill on Friday, but will we see Downs After Dark continue throughout the year?
How proud were you of your staff at Churchill Downs for bringing back such a huge crowd with even better amenities last night?
We were a little bit overwhelmed by the crowd the first Friday, and we had a lot of problems with the concession stands and the beer lines, and it was just unacceptable and something we were committed to doing better. So we were very much ready yesterday, and couldn't be more happy with how the event went. And also, it was really great to see the Louisville and the Kentucky fans across the state come out and give us another chance.
We know this is temporary lighting. Will this be something that is installed as far as lighting on a permanent basis, and will this be thought of maybe during the fall meet, or is weather just not too unpredictable at that time of the year to maybe have night racing at Churchill?
Well, we're going to run a poll, which we're starting now, get the public's reaction. It's more than horse racing on these particular Friday nights. It's a scene. It's a big party. It's the place to be. So we've got lots of lights and DJs going, so I think people got their money's worth. Sorry you guys couldn't be there.
Me too. I was trying to figure out a way to get there and get back here in time for the show.
We can be the first two you poll, Bill. Just go ahead and vote us yes for the night racing.
When HRTV Rewind returns, two super fillies at opposite corners of the nation.
Rachel's just a 3-year-old. Rachel's the best 3-year-old. Zenyatta's the best anything.
Arguably the two best racehorses in America at the moment.
But will we ever see them race each other?
It's Rachel Alexandra to the lead. Here's the real Zen Master, and she's won 11.
This is what horse racing wants to see, is a clash of a pair of titans here in the Breeders' Cup. This is what John Gaines had in mind when he designed the Breeders' Cup,
right,
so that championships would not be decided on paper, but on the racetrack.
Let's do a bullet drill here, and let's do this fast. Let's stay speedy. Now, Iowa, big couple of nights of racing.
Yes, Iowa.
True or false, Iowa is the only state that starts with 2 vowels.
Only you could come up with that one. I guess yes. I don't know. Yes?
That would be true.
Okay.
The east and west borders for the state of Iowa are actually rivers.
Rivers. Mississippi's probably one of them. I don't know. What else?
That is true.
Okay.
Mississippi's one of them. The other one's Missouri.
All right, I got half of it right.
Now, this weekend, two of the best ladies take on other horses. Are they two of the best ever?
Are you talking about Zenyatta? You're talking about
Rachel Alexandra.
Forever's a long time.
Yeah.
But I would say that the two of among the best in the last quarter century.
Are they the two best in training, male or female, right now?
I can say yes. I could go out on a limb and say that. Certainly I think Zenyatta is. Rachel's just a 3-year-old. Rachel's the best 3-year-old. Zenyatta's the best anything.
Rachel and Zenyatta represent two top stallions standing at Darley. Oliver Tate explains how these fillies resemble their sires.
How proud is Darley America of the performance of these two fillies in terms of what they represent for their stallions?
Very proud, of course. I mean, they are arguably the two best racehorses in America at the moment, and to have them both by our sires is a great thrill. Obviously, Street Cry, the sire of Zenyatta, is a horse that we've had for a long time, and he was bred by Sheikh Mohammed and now stands at his farm here in Kentucky. And Medagliadoro, who Darley has recently acquired, he has taken all before him in his first crop, and Rachel Alexandra is a fantastic flag bearer for him. So it's very exciting time, and obviously this weekend will be terrific.
What do you see in Zenyatta that reminds you of Street Cry?
I think physical presence. You know, Street Cry is a very physical horse, as Zenyatta is as well. I mean, she's a big mare. There is an element of durability too. Street Cry raced at the highest level as a 2, 3, and 4-year-old, and Zenyatta is keeping going in. She's going on to be a top older mare. So I think she looks like she's going to be a very durable racehorse. A lot with racehorses, it comes down to the will to win. It's sort of something you can't see in your eyes. It displays itself when they get on the track, and both Street Cry and Zenyatta display a phenomenal will to win.
Phil Jackson is known as the Zen Master with 10 NBA titles, but this weekend Zenyatta proved she could be masterful as well, winning her 11th straight race.
Now Zenyatta's kicked into gear, and here she comes, right on by. Zenyatta suddenly 2 in front. Here's the real Zen Master, and she's won 11.
Do you know what she carried today, Zenyatta?
129.
129. That's why I was flipping back in my racing form here to see what the spreads in weights were. 116, 114, 113, 111, 114, 114, 113. She's packing 129. It takes a little while to build up a head of steam when you're packing that kind of weight, and she was able to do it and accomplished it fairly easy at the end.
She joining the likes of Cascapedia, Gamely, and Silver Spoon in terms of mares that have carried 129 or higher in the history of the Vanity, and now a 2-time winner, Zenyatta, at Hollywood Park in the Vanity.
Trainer John Sheriff took time to recap the race Sunday on Race Day America.
John, I had just that one little moment when Mike was coming up ever so easily alongside the other fillies in the stretch, and then she stretched her stride out. I mean, was that her just taking it easy and being relaxed?
Well, I think Mike said after the race that he didn't want to move too soon.
didn't want to. He was trying to time his ride, so he'd just win by a head or a neck or something like that, you know. So, it just took her. He just waited a little longer instead of making that big move on the turn. He just waited a little bit longer.
John, I know you're very low key and you're not looking to make any bullet board material for the competition, but as I mentioned before, Mr. Moss saying he would like to face Rachel. What are your thoughts on facing Rachel? Are you at all intrigued by the possibility of a matchup between these two great horses?
Later on in the year, certainly, but right now I think Rachel Alexander is headed for the Travis or the Alabama, one of those races. So we're going to wait and see what happens later on in the year. I think Zenyatta will probably run at Del Mar. I have to take a look at the Clement Hirsch if it's not a weight for age. I mean, if it's not a handicap, then that would probably be the place to run her.
Preakness winner Rachel Alexandra came back to battle the fillies Saturday. Not only did she win, but she set a new stakes record at Belmont Park.
She made the fillies look silly in Kentucky.
Oh, a tour de force! Super filly! You bet! What's the final margin? She might have won by 20!
Then beat up the boys in Baltimore.
The filly did it! Rachel Alexandra has defeated the Kentucky Derby winner.
What will Rachel do next? There's one place to find out. HRTV.
Back to Rachel. What's it feel like when you get a leg up on her?
She's unbelievable, ma'am. She's not. I don't think she's a normal horse. I tell you what. She does the strangest. Like when I pointed to the gate, she makes like 3 big breaths. Takes in, and it's unbelievable. Matter of fact, I told my fiance if I pointed her to the gate and I fell off, you're gonna know why. Because she just breathes it in. Yeah, boy, it's unbelievable. And she'll take 3 big breaths and then she'll walk in the gate, and then she's focused.
So does she feel like she actually expands underneath you?
Yeah, exactly. It's like she opens her lungs. I mean, it's the dangest thing I ain't never been on a horse that did that to me in my whole entire life of riding, and she'll always do it.
Calvin Burrell cuts his filly loose, and she's pouring it on in a dazzling display here. Nothing left for the other two. Coming down to the final 16th of a mile, her march to greatness continues. Rachel Alexandra wins eased. Again, a huge margin. It was almost 20 lengths again. The time was 1:46 and 1/5 seconds, and that's a new stakes record.
Come on, Jess. It doesn't matter what you run her on. Let us watch it. It's amazing. It's fun to watch. Calvin Burrell, never a nervous moment.
Yesterday, I thought that one way or the other, we will see her, whether it's pressure from racing fans and the media. There was a reluctance from Jess Jackson, understandably so. Curlin came out and got beat, but he was reluctant to bring Curlin out. I can't blame him one way or the other because he has given the sport what they have wanted to see from this point.
Amy Kearns knows how to care for a great racehorse. She was once Curlin's bodyguard and now looks after super filly Rachel Alexandra.
You are in New York now. How's that going so far? Are they starting to show up?
They are starting to show up, and I will have to say that, sometimes definitely, as long as we have to make sure that the horses are happy and not upset. But I think that this time around, after you were with a horse like Curlin, and then you're not with a horse like that anymore, we very much appreciate those problems. They're exceptionally wonderful problems to have. And we're very glad that we have people trying to sneak in the barn to get pictures of the fabulous filly.
Oh, fun. And speaking of pictures of the fabulous filly, Vogue was on hand, and she will be featured in the August edition. Were you present for the photo shoot at Churchill? I'm assuming you were. And what was that like?
And it was, they had built a big white background to shoot her against. And they used Dakota, the pony, as kind of a body double at first to do some test shots.
She is a star.
Was, very entertaining. And they realized that the boards were not big enough, so they kind of took a break. And she was actually pretty fast asleep when they were ready for her. So the talent was sleeping, and Scott Blasey, Steve Asmussen's assistant, had to kind of rouse her up, and then they had to brush her down again. But she was very, very low-key. You know, they had her standing there for quite a while, and as long as you have a peppermint for Rachel, she'll do about anything you want. She was quite professional about the whole thing. I can't wait to see the photos coming out in the August issue.
When HRTV Rewind returns, Lafitte and I decide who has the better eye for handicapping.
The photo finish is going to think
it's the camera.
It's going to think it's fine because by the time he gets there, there's going to be more time.
And what does Eddie Money have to do with horse racing?
Will you have a celebratory party with a little shake-in and take me home tonight?
Oh, I think that's a great idea. When Eddie's schedule permits, he's going to actually come to the farm and he can actually sing it here.
And now it's time to play
Name That Market.
Lafitte and Jeff, come on down.
It's Gilded Coin and Malibu Falcon. Gilded Coin takes the lead and pulls away here. Back-to-back winners for Gustavo La Rosa.
$8,000 maiden claimer. We need a telestrator. I think is what we need.
Right.
5.5 furlongs. Take another look. Here is the stretch run of the previous race at Charlestown. Margin of victory? That's 5 lengths.
It's not 3. It's closer to 5 than 3.
Says who? Our producer, whose glasses are this thick, and his glasses, who are this thick.
When that horse hits the wire, it's not how far back the horse is. It's where he hits the wire. Right. But he was going so slow that it's the camera. The photo finish. He's going to think
the camera.
It's going to think it's
an
fine because
illusion.
by the time he gets there, there's going to be more time.
And is this like the Price is Right? If you go over, you lose?
No.
It's 3 lengths.
New Vocations is the largest racehorse adoption program in the country. Program director Anna Ford shared 2 of her recent success stories.
Well, you've done such a good job with so many horses, one of which is J.R. Town, a gelding by Texas City. He ran 90 times. What was his ultimate fate?
Well, a horse like him that, raced 90 times, and this was a true racehorse. I mean, he loved his job, and I'll never forget the day that he arrived at our farm, and he was just blowing fire. I mean, he was just so excited. I think he thought, he was hauling to another track. But a horse like him, if he hadn't come to us where we could reschool him and get him in a new frame of mind, he definitely could have ended up at an auction because there wouldn't have been very many people anxious to take him on because, they would have been scared.
So what about the girl who actually was looking for a new project? What did she do with him?
Andrea, we actually had J.R. Town for almost, I think it was like 5 months. And our average adoption time is just over a month. So we were having a really hard time finding somebody who would take him because he just was a true workhorse. He just loved to work. And when I showed him to Andrea, he came out of the stall and he was all excited, shaking his head. And she says, "Oh, I love him." She just loved his fire and loved his attitude. And within 4 months of her adopting him, she was competing at the New Vocations charity show in the jumper classes. And now she's been schooling him as a jumper as well as an eventer.
Michael Blowen stopped by to explain how singer Eddie Money is helping the retired racehorses at Old Friends Farm.
Ferdinand Shoemaker, what a super!
The news shocked the racing world. Kentucky Derby and Breeders' Cup Classic champion Ferdinand had been sent to a Japanese slaughterhouse following an unsuccessful breeding career. It was an unworthy fate for any horse, let alone the champion and old friend of Hall of Fame trainer Charlie Whittingham. An industry-wide effort aims to prevent that from happening again. And if people like Michael Blowen, president and founder of Old Friends Retirement Facility, have anything to do with it, Racehorses who are past their prime, on the track or at the breeding farm, will find their way to the spectacular 52-acre facility located at Dream Chase Farm in Georgetown, Kentucky. Old Friends is the only thoroughbred retirement facility in the country to accept retired stallions and boasts the last known son of the great Damascus, O'Gaijin, 1988 Eclipse Award winner Sunshine Forever, and multi-millionaire turf star Awad.
Basically, we're not just a retirement home, but we're also a tourist attraction. I remember when the first time I ever stepped foot in Kentucky was only because John Henry was at the horse park. And I couldn't believe that I was going to get that close to him. And I thought if we could just copy what the horse park was doing, people would come and visit us as well.
A famed recording artist, Eddie Money, has teamed up with Old Friends. Tell us about that.
First wine bottle that we did, Jack Nicholson did the drawing, and then Alfred Brooks and Angelica Houston. We were looking for a fourth person to do one. And Eddie was very excited because I think this last year's Derby was the first Derby he's missed for more than 20 years. He's a big racing fan. And he drew Bonaparte. Eddie has also signed 100 of the bottles. We're very excited about that. And I mean, we just got a horse that you might remember named Early Pioneer. And I think the girl who saved him found him in a bad situation. She paid $200 for him. Some of the money from the wine bottle is going to pay for the construction of his paddock and put in a water or in a run-in shed. So
wonderful.
He'll have all the amenities that he might need in retirement.
Will you have a celebratory party with a little shake-in and take me home tonight?
Oh, I think that's a great idea. I think what's going to happen is Eddie, that when Eddie's schedule permits, he's going to actually come to the farm, and and he can actually sing it here. So that'll be wonderful.
This week, Inside Information featured another old friend, Evening Attire.
He's just a once-in-a-lifetime horse. Being a gelding and things, it kind of makes it a little tough to go off for a stud career. So he hung around. He participated at a high level all his life. He loved doing what he did. He's definitely the best horse I've ever been around. And I doubt whether I'll get another one like him.
When he was a 2-year-old, we took him over to the gate, and he broke slow. It'll be okay race day.
If there's any one quirky thing about him, he would always break a step slow, sometimes 2 steps slow.
I've been following him for maybe 4 or 5 years, and it all started because I saw a gray horse walk out of a gate and win a race.
He just was a tremendous finisher. That was his style, and I never tried to change him out of it.
That style would lead him to victory in 6 graded stakes in his first few seasons, including a win in the Jockey Club Gold Cup and a valiant effort in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Soon after, Evening Attire became the toast of New York.
He's America's horse, or New York's horse for sure.
I think for fans, I think he's a great horse because he could run for so long, so people knew his name for so long, and I think he's good for the industry.
He's one of those kind of throwback old-time, could race every couple of weeks kind of horses if you wanted to. They just don't make them like that anymore. It's kind of what the story is.
That's all for HRTV this week. Here's what you can look forward to next week.
We'll start with the late, great Harry Henson. The flag is up, and there they go. Wild Shaman is going to the front. River Rebel is second. 62 Lincoln. Third, Super Secret Device is fourth. Plenty of Heat. Fifth. Around the clubhouse turn, Tom Durkin here. Ho, ho, ho! 62 Lincoln ran an opening quarter in 23 and 1/5 seconds. Ambitious fractions here for the 10-year-old. They come into the quarter pole, and it's Judge Barnevelt kicking on with 2 trails, saying you better pick up your feet. You want to come catch me? And down the stretch they come. Pair of Kings on the outside taking a lead. 2 trails battles back. 2 trails, pair of Kings. Those 2 heads apart, and it's 2 trails to win it.
And now the oxygen mask is applied. Nice job, Mr. Frank Miramati.